What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Superpower Review. I'm your host, Kevin Vidini. We got a very exciting show for you today. Me and my guest, who I will introduce now, my good friend Steve Cline. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, man?
Nothing much, nothing much. It's so nice to have you on the show today.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's no problem. So me and my friend Steve, we're going to list our top 4 favorite Batman animated movies. Are you excited, Steve?
Oh, I'm pumped, man. I love the animated movies. Some of my favorite material, for sure.
For sure. As we all know, DC is like the king when it comes to these animated movies.
Yeah, they are. This is the one thing that they nail 100% right now, and they do a terrific job time in and time out with it.
Before we get into our list, why don't you just real quick introduce who you are to the guests in case if they don't know who Steve Cline really is.
Yeah, man, I'm a huge Batman fan. As you can tell in the room, I collect nothing but Batman. It's not to say that I don't enjoy other parts of the comic books, but Batman is definitely my favorite. I am vice president of the Comic Book Fan Club and the East Chapter president. But yeah, man, I just enjoy everything that goes along with the comic book, the culture, movies, the comics, the collectibles. I've got it all. I'm all about it, man.
Nice, nice. Well, I'm gonna let you go first, and I want you to tell me what is your number 4 favorite Batman animated movie.
It was tough to pare this list down completely, but I'm going to go with Batman Under the Red Hood. That is my number 4 movie. I think they nailed the storyline. They cut out parts of the movie or parts of the comic and was able to bring this thing all together. And I thought the action was great, the story, the characters, the way they nailed it, all the portrayal, the comic art that they did, the animation art that they did for the movie. I thought it was all top notch. Definitely one of the better movies out there.
It is really good. It is really good. Now, I was looking at our list here, and we definitely have a lot of similarities, but mostly differences. So your number 4 is Under the Red Hood, and so I'm gonna go with my number 4. Okay, my number 4 is definitely Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, and people might start commenting saying, well, you know, that's technically not a Batman movie. Well, you know what, folks? This is my show, and it is what it is. Batman makes an appearance, not the Bruce Wayne Batman, but a different Batman, Batman's dad, Thomas Wayne, which is my favorite part of the whole movie. That's my favorite character in that whole movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be talking about Flashpoint here for sure.
Yeah, that one's really good, and I really enjoyed that ending. It's just a different feel on a Batman.
Yeah, it's one of the more seminal moments in Batman Bruce Wayne's history right there, that last part of the Flashpoint for sure.
That's like DC's like Punisher, really, right? Like Thomas Wayne is pretty much the Punisher of Batman.
That's what it feels like for sure.
Well, okay, let's move on. How about your number 3 there, good sir?
Batman: The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 is my number 3 movie on this list. I think they did a perfect interpretation of the graphic novel, which was that was a huge thing to do to begin with, to undertake that, because of so much fan pressure that was going to be on adapting that graphic novel into a movie. But I think they nailed Part 1 100%. That is definitely a movie that you should check out 100%.
Yeah, that Frank Miller story is a classic, and they did a fantastic job bringing it from paper to movie.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest comic book stories, one of the best stories ever told, and they did a terrific job with the animation, the voice acting, just the beats of the comic adapted to the beats of the movie. It was a terrific job.
You brought up voice acting. I don't really know. I don't know the actor's name, who played the voice of the Joker. But did you really care for the Joker's voice in that one?
When you first hear it, it kind of throws you off a little bit, but definitely once you get into part 2, it starts rolling a little bit, and you go along with it. And when you watch it a couple more times, you tend to not even notice it at that point. But definitely when you first turn it on, you're just like, what? That's a little different.
True.
But I think it grows on you. At least it grew on me, anyways.
I mean, I could take it or leave it, to be quite honest.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it is different.
But again, I'm really bad. I should have had the actors' names here. But I know he was in RoboCop, right? The voice actor to Batman. I think that is a really good voice to have for an older Batman.
I agree 100%. He nailed that part. It was an older, more grizzled Batman, and I think that was the perfect choice for that voice acting.
Indeed. So your part 3, your number 3 is Dark Knight Part 1.
Yes.
My number 3 is The Dark Knight Returns Part 2.
I love it, man.
I love it. Best scene, obviously, is when the Joker escapes, goes through the tunnel of love and starts going haywire, shooting everybody in the tunnel of love, and Batman just finally unhinges and says an end to an all and slightly snaps his neck.
Slightly, just a tad.
Just a tad, I mean, just so the Joker's paralyzed a little bit, and then...
he'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Just walk it off, but he didn't. He just
right.
Did a little more...
No doubt.
Put the little cherry on top and snapped his own neck while laughing. Okay, while laughing.
Right.
That was probably one of my scenes. Again, you can't go wrong when it comes to The Dark Knight Returns, because it is one of those stories that really, how can I say it? It really painted the best image of Batman.
It really did. It defined the time. It changed the comic book culture completely when it first came out. And to me, it's just the perfect ending to so many important Batman beats along his history. The final fight with the Joker, the final fight with Superman. I just think it brings complete closure to the Batman story, in my opinion, anyway.
Right. Yeah, and that iconic fight between Batman and Superman too, in number 2 as well. Do you prefer the fight between Batman and Superman in this movie, or the actual Batman versus Superman? Getting a little off topic, but that's okay.
A little off topic, without a doubt. With the Batman, The Dark Knight Returns. The fight between Batman and Superman, that to me is the definitive Batman versus Superman fight.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Batman versus Superman. I enjoyed that fight. I was wanting just a little bit more from it, but the Batman Dark Knight Returns, that fight with Superman was epic.
It was epic. It really is, and a huge part of the Dark Knight series. All right, Steve, number 2.
Shocker, it's the Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 2.
After we just talked about it.
Right. You talked about the Joker and the Batman fight. To me, I'll go with the Joker, or the Batman and Superman fight. I thought that was the defining moment of the movie, and that's what really draws me to the movie, and that's what I love so much about that.
Yeah, right.
Just Batman just outsmarting Superman every inch of the way, having every contingency plan in place, even for his own death. So that right there, I just thought was awesome.
Right. One of my favorite parts about that number 2, right, is at the end, everyone collaborating together to try to keep Gotham safe, because obviously he knows he can't keep it up, and so I think it's very smart. And it shows the intelligence of Bruce Wayne and Batman, that he knows he can't keep it going, but he knows he has this group that's following him, so he's going to use those guys to his advantage to keep Gotham safe and keep it going.
That's part of Batman. He's just one step ahead always. He knows he's got the army behind him that he can properly train, and no matter what ultimately happens to Bruce Wayne, Batman, he will have Gotham protected in the end.
Right. Yeah, Dark Knight. You can't say enough good things about The Dark Knight Returns. You really can't.
And a whole show on it for sure.
You can do a whole show. We're practically almost going to do one right now. That was your number 2, correct?
Yes.
So my number 2, spoiler alert, is The Dark Knight Returns Part 1.
Awesome.
Oh man, this is craziness. Dark Knight Returns Part 1. It really tells a whole different story about Batman, a retired Batman. I really feel like he wants to have one last hurrah before he gives it quits, and he does. And that was my favorite part of this, and a different Gotham. Obviously, we always know that Gotham is not a safe place, and since the Batman has not been around, Gotham is in worse states. So seeing him come back was really good, and it's also that little part of fear in him, like, can I really do it? Can I still do it? And we have Alfred like kind of bringing him down a little bit, like, nah, sir, you're gonna kill yourself, you know. So it's one of those great superhero stories where it's rise up and overcome your fears.
Yeah, absolutely, and would be remiss not to talk about the mutant leader and his appearance in the movie, and Batman coming back after being defeated by the mutant leader.
Yeah,
and coming back and once again showing why he's Batman, and it's not physical brutality that will take it down; it's the intelligence that will ultimately defeat the enemy. And I think that was a tremendous fight as well.
And of course that famous line.
You don't get it, son. This isn't a mud hole. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon.
That was just an awesome line, perfectly delivered. I mean, you couldn't want any more out of a comic book than to deliver that line. That was awesome.
Let me ask you this real quick. How many times have you seen the Dark Knight Returns movies?
I've seen them. I've seen both parts all the way 3 times.
3 times? Yeah.
Not enough. But
I've seen about this same amount of times. And another cool thing too is you go from animated movie to real movie, because there are some movies that do make references of those movies. In Batman vs. Superman, when he comes through the wall, and then when they're going after the thugs and one of the police officers sees Batman and go, like, kid, you're in for a show tonight.
Right. Yeah, that was a direct reference to The Dark Knight. I think every Batman movie gives a reference back to The Dark Knight. I mean, that's just how important that story was to Batman and his lore completely.
And I absolutely love that they do that, because it's almost like, in a way, how excited we get sometimes over cover swipes on comic books.
Right. I agree. I mean, you sit there and just to hear that line in the movie, that automatically, as a comic fan, that draws you right back to that storyline and puts a smile on your face, no matter if it's Batman or Spider-Man or whatever. If you pay homage to a comic book, a certain seminal moment in the comic book, fans will always get a delight out of that.
Touche. Steve, we are at number 1.
Ooh, number 1. Here we go.
Here you go. Steve, what is your number 1?
Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox.
What? My number 4? How shocking!
Man, it was, I cannot believe it. But number 1, definitely Flashpoint. I've seen that movie, I think, at least 10 to 15 times. I cannot stop watching it.
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies that is a good Sunday rainy day watch.
Just the complete flip on the head of the Batman story, that catches my attention. I love the design of Thomas Wayne Batman.
Yeah. With
the guns and the red oval, and it just grizzled with the 5 o'clock shadow drinking. I mean, it was just such a flip turn on its head. I thought it was completely well done. And then, of course, what really catches me is the last moment in Flashpoint, whenever the Flash hands Bruce Wayne the note from his father.
That is a touching moment.
You can see a tear drop on the letter. I just thought that's a really touching moment. That was a really heartfelt moment right there. And
it really is.
I loved it.
You need to bust out the Kleenex when you watch that one.
I'm gonna drop a tear here in a second.
Everything else is amazing about that movie, and then when you get to that scene, pause the movie, go get a box of Kleenex, and then cry.
No doubt. I may have shed a tear or two. Who knows? Plus, there's just so many other different characters in that movie, from Cyborg to a different view on Superman to Aquaman and Wonder Woman and their relationship. I mean, and of course the Flash, who is the central part of the entire movie. I just think it brings a whole new idea on the universe and what would happen just with one little change in the timeline, how the entire universe will change completely.
Yeah. It gives you a whole different aspect. It almost is like a what if kind of thing, but a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, that is a great story, and plus the fight scenes between the Flash and the Reverse Flash, those are brutal.
Oh, all the fight scenes. I mean, that's the perfect word. It's brutal. Just
brutal.
Aquaman and Wonder Woman, Batman to Reverse Flash, just shooting him. I mean, it was crazy. It's just stuff that you normally don't see out of your comic book characters because they don't like to show such finality in situations. But with an alternate universe, they definitely went for some finality with some of this stuff.
They did. And best part of the movie, Reverse Flash taking a bullet to the head.
Awesome. Loved it.
All right. Are you ready for my number one there, sir?
I'm ready for your number one. Let's hear it.
All right. My number one is your number 4. And that would be Batman Under the Red Hood.
Did not go wrong with that. I mean, absolutely. Understand that.
Same movies, different order.
Great minds think alike, though.
That's right. And the reason why I had to pick Batman Under the Red Hood is, number 1, it is an epic story. Number 2, Jason Todd, Red Hood is my favorite Robin, favorite anti-hero when it comes to DC Comics. And I love that whole thing, like, I'll teach you and train you, and then it just comes back and bites you in the ass kind of thing. But we almost see a match between Batman and the Red Hood, and I love that whole fight where they go on the monument and to the bathroom. I love that scene in the bathroom where Batman is just tossing him around and just punches him through the wall. He doesn't really punch him. He just kind of does like a open hand palm strike right through the wall. I love that part. I absolutely love it. I could rewind that scene and watch it multiple times. I love that part.
Oh yeah, and I mean the Joker in that movie, he is crazy. They delivered the Joker terrifically. He was done terrifically in that movie for sure.
Right. Party pooper, no cake for you.
How many times have you watched it?
Probably not as many times as you watched Flashpoint Paradox. Maybe 7 times, but yeah, I really love that one. And the funny thing about this too, before we did this show, I think about 2 weeks ago, I went on a watching binge and just watched a whole bunch of animated movies because I had nothing else better to do. Wife was at work all day. I was like, you know what? Today's a Batman day.
That's what. Yeah, there we go. Perfect day.
Today is a Batman day. I'm just gonna binge watch Batman. One of the things about these animated movies too is that, again, I've said this before, but DC does a fantastic job. DC and Warner Brothers do a fantastic job going from comic book to movie, and they are really spot on. I mean, maybe there's some add-ins, there's a total add-in when it comes to the Killing Joke. There's an add-in there, but not too much. But they're really they give you a comic book in pictures. It's really great.
Right. Those animated movies really are completely fan service, is what they do. They do
right.
fan service job on those movies. even when they do original stories, they'll do callbacks to the storylines. I mean, that those movies are directed 100% towards the comic book readers.
Yeah, right. So that's our top 4. Is Steve? Is there any honorable mentions you want to do real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to do an honorable mention on DC: The New Frontier. I think that's one that everyone should check out. It's a little different. Not a lot of people talk about that as far as the animated movie goes. But it's a great story. It's really different. The art style by Cook is just the way they do the art style in the movie emulates Cook's art style terrifically. The art to me is what brings it, is what I love about the movie. It's real clean. It focuses on the character's emotions. And I just love the beats of the movie. It's kind of like the origin story of the Justice League. It's an origin story of a lot of the different characters surrounding the Justice League.
Right.
I think it's definitely something you should check out, and definitely read the graphic novel because it is a classic.
Yeah, that's these movies do give you a good opportunity in case because some of these books, especially The Dark Knight Returns, there's a hefty price on those books, especially the full set. So these movies give you a good chance to actually watch it and give you an idea of end story. Kind of fills you in without paying a good $100 bill maybe, not more.
Yeah, I'll save you a couple dollars.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'll save you a couple dollars. If I were to do an honorable mention, I would have to go with Batman Year One. That one's a pretty good one. I really like to see the whole Jim Gordon story and how everything started. And I do, again, it was so good from comic book to movie, and seeing a young Bruce Wayne, a young Batman just starting out.
Yeah, I have to agree with the Year One. They did a good job with that movie as well, and even the extra footage of the Catwoman scene,
Right.
Catwoman's extra scene, that was really good too.
Right.
Yeah, Year One's more of a James Gordon story than it is a Batman story, and how their partnership really begins. But that is a terrific movie to start off with if you want to learn a little bit more about Batman and his lineage and Gotham and all the parts surrounding it. Year One is the starting point for sure.
Right. And you see an unexperienced Batman, which is different for us too. So
Right. You see a Batman sitting there really pondering if he can do this or not. You see him get knocked down a couple times. But
is this a good idea?
You see why Batman's Batman. He'll get back up. He'll get it done.
Right. So Steve, that's almost our show there. We just listed our top 4. So I know you're the vice president of the Comic Book Fiend Club. You're a chapter president that anybody would love.
Extra kudos point to you.
I know we just got done with enrollment. Is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah. Thank you to everyone that applied to be in the Comic Book Fiend Club, especially the East Coast chapter. We're sorry if we didn't get to you this time, but we had so many good applicants. It was so hard to choose. It was deliberations for days, really, to get through this.
It really was.
But if you did not make it, do not get discouraged. Please reapply in April when we have open enrollment again. We're looking forward to seeing everybody come back out. But yeah, don't get discouraged. Stick with us. I promise. Maybe you don't get in the first time, but the second time could be your chance.
What day are we announcing our new chapter members?
Yes, we're announcing. We get to take over the club page on Instagram on Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. We're gathering a lot of great material for that. We're gonna have a lot of fun with announcing and just doing general club stuff all day on Thursday, East Coast style. So we are definitely pumped and excited for that.
I'm excited, and I know there's a lot of people at home like biting their nails, like I can't wait.
Right. I know, and we get to be last, so the drama just keeps building and building and building. I love it.
That's all right, because you know why? They saved the best chapter for last.
That's what's up. That's what's up. East Coast
Fighting
is the
words.
best coast.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. If anybody wants to see any of your cool posts, how can they go about doing that?
All my stuff is on Instagram. My name under Instagram is @the_Bataholic. You can see my entire collection, which is completely out of control, but I try my best to post it on there. I mean, even today I got 2 new statues, so be on the lookout for that later on this evening. But yeah, come on, leave some comments. Let's hang out. It'll be a good time, promise.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. If you liked any of our choices for our top 4 animated Batman movies, please leave a like on the channel. And if you want to see more from this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys real soon.